Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipster Podcast. This is your host, Jamil Hassan, the Crypto Hipster, where I interview founders, entrepreneurs, executives, thought leaders, amazing people all around the world of crypto and blockchain globally. And I have another amazing guest for you today. I have the co-founder of SciSic. His name is Leo Fan. Leo, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me here. Nice to meet you, Jamie.
You're very welcome. Nice to meet you too. So thank you for joining me. And let's kick things off, and I'll ask you first. I ask everybody the same question. I get all kinds of amazing, wonderful answers. It's this, is what is your background? And is it a logical background for what you're doing now?
Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about my background. So I graduated my bachelor degree is in mathematics. I'm always intrigued by the nice logic in this mathematics. And after that, I start doing some cryptographic related research during my master study. It's in Chinese Academy of Science. It's almost 12 or I guess 14 years ago, I lost the sense of time after a pandemic. Yeah, so I did some I actually I encountered a very interesting paper called the Bitcoin white paper while I was a graduate student there, during 2010, I guess the end of 2010. Yeah, I find this very fascinating in that paper to do this um Bitcoin this decentralized cryptocurrency. So at that time I start doing some Bitcoin mining using the I guess the crabs from some uh very big GPU machines to start doing some Bitcoin mining starting in 2011, probably the mid of 2011, and after about 3 years. And after that, I decided probably instead of just doing this mining stuff, it's a little bit boring. So I found probably I can do pursue since I have a little bit educational background, so I can pursue more freedom in this knowledge-based ocean. So I did my PhD at Cornell, it's in Ithaca in the middle of nowhere, upstate New York. Yeah, I spent about 4 wonderful years there, probably except for the summer, which is the most wonderful in Ithaca. Yeah, and then after graduation, my PhD is about designing this post-quantum secure crypto systems there. And after my PhD, I spent some time as a researcher at NIST, which is I guess National Institute of Standardization Technology, where I help evaluate some of the submissions to NIST on the post-quantum crypto part. So here, this crypto stands for cryptography. Yeah, then afterwards, I spent some time as a researcher at Algorand. So Algorand is a blockchain company. It's a layer one blockchain founded by Silver McCartney, who is a Turing Awards and also a MIT professor. Yeah, so it was at Algorand we designed something called Algorand state proof. So Algorand state proof is a ZK proof. You can use it as a ZK bridge to bridge assets from Algorand to Ethereum, Algorand to Solana. So when I finished the POC and the design, I found it took so much time to generate just one single proof of this state proof, using a very large instance from AWS. So at that time, I think probably we can design something similar to Bitcoin mining. So before in Bitcoin mining, we started as a CPU, then GPU, then FPGA, then ASIC. So we can design some specialized hardware to make the proof generation faster. So that's the original idea to start SciSic. So SciSic is I borrow idea from Algorand. So Algorand we call is a combination of two words. So algorithm and randomness. So it's a combination of these two words, algorithms. So SciSic is also a combination of two words. It's called, the first word is cipher. The second word is ASIC. So essentially, we want to design some ASICs, which is a specialized hardware make the proof generation to make the crypto faster. Yeah, so that's like how we like started like SciSig.
Wow, interesting. I've interviewed a number of people from Algorithm, but I never knew that it was a combination of algorithm and randomness. So I learned something new right
Yeah,
there. Thank you. Now,
yeah, no problem.
when I hear Cipher, I think cypherpunk, right? I think Ethereum. I don't think ASICs. You combine the two. So, what is SISIC all about, including your vision and your mission and the purpose for your company?
Um, yeah, so like so as a so deep down, I'm a like cryptographer. So as a cryptographer, like I saw like very wonderful, like there are like so many wonderful functionality, so many wonderful primitives in crypto, which cannot be realized in the real world because it's like very inefficient, such as the knowledge or fully homomorphic encryption, or even like this IO is called indistinguishability obfuscation. So those are like very wonderful, like very powerful crypto primitives, but it's just cannot be realized in the real world. Yeah, so it's like very similar to RSA. So like if you record like RSA back in the 80s, like RSA public key encryption is also very powerful encryption mechanism compared with a symmetric key such as like AES or like DES. But at that time, it's like also like very inefficient, and it will require a lot of computing power for doing the RSA encryption. So the RSA, which stands for like three very like famous and also very important cryptographers in the here like Revest, Linderman and Shamir, they like started a company called the RSA. The RSA is like to develop some like very efficient hardware to instantiate this like RSA encryption. So like probably like in the like 2020s, we can also like we can also like have a company which is like developing like some specialized hardware, probably like a company with some like software to accelerate the nice like primitives in cryptography to make it real nice in the real world. Yeah, so that's the big scope.
Very good, very good. So, I want to talk about chips, um, and specialized chips, right? So, why are specialized ASIC chips necessary for verifying ZKPs, zero knowledge proofs, in real time? And what will these chips allow?
Yeah, so that's a very good question here. Yeah, so to be honest, like the verifying a ZKP is not a very difficult task. You can use a phone or like probably like a very nice hardware such as a Raspberry Pi like to verify a proof. It just take about like 1 or 2 seconds. And the total computation time probably like is about 50 milliseconds to verify a ZK proof. And the bottleneck or the obstacle here is to generate a ZK proof. The proof generation takes a lot of time. And I guess like also yeah, since like we previously like we are tackling on this like very wide integers. So it's not very tailored to this like CPUs or GPUs, which is like designed for like a small with integers such as probably like 8-bit or 16-bit. But for ZKPs, I guess like right now the least wide integer is about like 31-bit integer. So it's a very wide integer. And if you just go with a normal design, like you go with a normal CPU or GPU computing paradigm, it's not very efficient. You can still do the job. But if you want to scale Ethereum, saying like you have this like real-time ZK proving for Ethereum, probably like you need to say like there is a very recent news by Succinct, which is a ZKVM team. They have this like they use I guess like 160 Fortinet GPU to have this like real-time ZK proving for Ethereum. And this like real-time ZK proving is just to prove to generate a ZK proof like in about like 12 seconds. But that's relying on this 160 4090 GPU cards is around like 300K US dollars. That's a lot for normal users to carry out. And of course, it's not very beneficial for Ethereum to decentralize if Ethereum want to adopt this like ZK in their layer one. So like with Sysig hardware, you can actually carry out the ZK proof in real time like at a very cost effective and also energy effective way. Yeah, so that's something like we're working on and something we are going to realize in the upcoming months.
Got it. Got it. So there's this concern out there. I say in the market or between people I talk to at least, on X or wherever, that blockchain and especially ZK is critical with verifying artificial intelligence generated results. I want to find out from you why it is important.
Okay. Yeah, so I believe you use ChatGPT or not, but I've like probably like they charge you like by monthly, and probably like after 10 days or like 15 days of your monthly subscription, you will notice there is a decrease in the quality of the response by ChatGPT. So they are not using the most recent model to answer your question. Probably like they claim they are using like ChatGPT 4.0 or 4.0, but instead probably they are just using ChatGPT 3.5 or like even ChatGPT 3. And from a like human perspective, it's like very hard for us to capture the difference and also very hard for us to prove the difference. But using a ZKP here, you can say like whenever you use the inference, like you use the word to like if you submit some like queries to ChatGPT and it answers you. And in addition to the answers, it will also attach a ZK proof showing that they are actually using the model they are claiming to reply to you. It's a responsibility for ChatGPT for all these like AI models to do something like this. They're not cheat on their like customers, and ZKP can solve this like cheating issue.
So yeah, so I noticed that too. I noticed like as a user, I'm like I asked Chat GPT a question, and it gives me like I'll ask it how many books have I written, and it says 30. And the answer is 340. So it's not
Right.
it's not the data. Anytime I look at it, get results. The data is not accurate. So
Right. Yeah.
so how can we fix that? How can I go and answer the question and get the right data?
Yeah. Yeah. So like using ZKP, you can solve this issue. Like whenever they run the inference, they can just attach a ZK proof or ZK certificate along with the results. So you can verify on that to say they are actually not cheating on you. And if they cheat, like you have a way to tell the difference. And that's a better way to have a supervise on this like big AI company.
Got it. So you
Yeah,
you you are you started out by mining Bitcoin, right?
yeah,
2011.
yeah,
Yeah. So, right now what I see, there's a new way. There's a new way. I guess you come up with a new way to tokenize. Like you don't think of tokenization. You don't think of tokenizing the Bitcoin mining facilities and the Bitcoin mining hardware, but you can. So, how do you best tokenize the high performance hardware, and why is tokenizing the hardware important?
yeah. So as a like I guess like a OG in the mining community, like I know like a lot of like the mining machines and mining facilities they are owned by like probably like around like 20 people. So So like when like we want to get the access to the Bitcoins, like we wanna go to the exchanges, we buy it there. So and as you can see, like the exchange their like cost is usually like I guess at least 20% higher than the cost for the miners. So the miners they are like doing the hard work, they're doing the same there, but they also have a very high risk. Yeah, so like if Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin drop down or not, they probably like they will just need to shut down their machine and then cannot get anything back. So it's a two-sided problem. The first is like the normal users, we need to pay a lot of like premium for to buy the Bitcoin. Like we cannot just buy it from the miners. The miners, the cost will be like much cheaper than the exchange. And the second part is like the miners, they have a very high risk. They somehow want to reduce the risk. Yeah, since like if the Bitcoin there is like a sudden drop or like some OGs like they dump their Bitcoin or they are worried about the SHA-256 or the digital signing algorithm in Bitcoin, then probably like the Bitcoin will like drop down a lot. Like in the case of the quantum computers, which may have a very immediate like threat on the security of Bitcoin. So the miners they are worried about that. As early miners, like I know that. So the RWA in this like high performance mining rigs can solve this issue. So like we provide a democratizing way for the normal users to access the Bitcoin or like some other like say like Dogecoin or Litecoin as probably like say similar to the price of the similar to the cost of the miners. And in the meantime, we also significantly reduce the risk of the miner since they are getting the stable coin as public some of the hedge against the risk of mining Bitcoin or this like other coins. So I view it as a very balanced way to achieve a win-win for both the miners and also the normal users.
Got it. So
Yeah.
I have a couple follow-ups there. The first one regarding Bitcoin. Regarding the Bitcoin model, the white paper was created in 2009. The Bitcoin rolled out in 2009, right? So I'm sure I don't know if Satoshi had this vision of, he had this vision of every year, every 4 years with the halving, there's less Bitcoin mined, there's greater transaction fees eventually, right? But does this tokenization of the Bitcoin mining hardware and the support of the miners maybe help change that model that Satoshi already envisioned, or help with the transaction, income better? How does that have any effect on the Bitcoin model that was originally created, or does it?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. So, like, as you can see, the Bitcoin white paper was like written up in the like probably like more than 1 decade. Yeah, so like Satoshi as the first, he or she or they didn't foresee like there are like so many significant change in the coming ways. This like RWA or this like tokenizing the hardware. Um, yeah, to be honest, I don't see any like change to the fundamentals of Bitcoin. It only like provides a way for the miners and for the user to somehow get a like balance point where they can this like two group of users they can get a very reasonable income, very reasonable yield for their work. Yeah, yeah. So like as you can see, like we are still like the miners are still there. The miners they are still like putting a lot of like efforts like in mining Bitcoin. And due to the I guess as you can see, like Bitcoin just reached all-time high during the pizza day. Yeah, so I guess that also encourage a lot of like miners to put like more resources like into mining Bitcoin, which probably like somehow will in triggering the interest in the normal users. Probably they also want to mine the Bitcoin, but they don't have the say that if you want to maintain a machine, you need to buy a machine and then have the facility to maintain it, which is like the machines you're like very loud. Yeah, so the tokenizing or RWA in the Bitcoin mining rigs or other coin like mining rigs will give the normal users a way to have access to a like much cheaper, like not probably like not much cheaper, but reasonably cheaper like price of these mainstream cryptos.
Got it. That was my first follow-up. The second one is last year I moderated a panel at the Litecoin Summit in Nashville. This year I'm not able to attend the Litecoin Summit, but last year I interviewed three mining companies, right? And one of those mining companies was developing was mining Litecoin, mining Dogecoin. You mentioned Litecoin and Dogecoin, and they were using chips that were AI convertible. So they could, you mine with the Litecoin, you mine with Dogecoin, and then later on you're able to use those chips for AI applications, right? How how does the future of AI convertible AI chips playing out? How does that help build the ecosystem forward? And what do you see the future of it as?
Okay. Yeah, so like I'm somehow like to be honest, I'm somehow surprised to learn that the Dogecoin mining rigs can also be used to do AI competition. Since as you can see, like in the Doge or like coin mining, the computation carried out there is like called like the script. Script is a hash function. So like in my opinion, it has not much thing to do with AI computation or like AI inference. And of course, you can say like if you come up with a general machine that can do this like script and also like AI inference and training at the same time. But this machine must be not as efficient as the professional machine. The professional machine produced by Bitmain or like some other Dogecoin like mining company. Yeah, so it's a, like a compromise between this like generality and efficiency you need to balance. Like if you want to do something like more generalized and say like this machine can be salvaged to do some like recycle to do some like AI competition at the same time, then it must be not as efficient as the professional ones, the professional mining rigs. The professional mining rigs, there is like only one goal they want to achieve is to get to do the mining in a like very energy efficiency way. Yeah. So that's the only thing they want to achieve. And there's like no much thing, no other things. So they will have this like script, this like hash function instantiated in just one chip, like very efficiently. And in just one mining machine, they will have hundreds of chips inside. So that's why they have a very high power of like the very high hash rate in the machine. Yeah.
God, I'm glad you mentioned that, the energy efficiency. Sometimes I forget about that because there's still this
Yeah.
narrative out there that Bitcoin's bad for the environment. It's awful. It takes up so much use. And I'm like, well, Amazon, data centers take up actually pollute the environment more. But why, why do we continue to have a mission of, energy efficiency? And why is that important? And how can mining, and SISIC help create that efficiency?
Okay, yeah, so there's so like probably like something outside of the question here is like so like I like in the past years I also acted as a VC like somehow in crypto. Like when we want to evaluate like mining project is like not the innovative or tech side to evaluate. We do it more on the energy side. We want to make sure the mining facility they have a very low electricity bill. Like probably their electricity bill is much lower than the ones in Texas or like Ohio something. Yeah, so that's the most important part. And other than that, like we don't care too much. Yeah, so for SciSig, so the energy efficiency is like very important. We don't want to draw too much criticism. Yeah, since we are like manufacturing say like some like ZK ASICs, probably like also some minor rigs in the future. We don't want to draw a lot of criticism and to say like we're polluting the environment. Yeah, we are just consuming like too much power to do some like cryptocurrency mining. Yeah, there are like various ways to solve these issues. Like as you know, there's like one way like it's all about the cooling of the machine. Like the machine, like if you just use a fan to cool the machine, then probably like it will be like very high energy consuming. But if you use some like liquid or like a water to cool the machine, then it will be like much probably like not that energy consuming on that. So that's like one perspective we are right now exploring. And second, we are only talking about like these like professional machines which are like in the IDCs or in the mining facility. It's like a very loud, very hot space. But there is like one possibility is where it's like we can create a home-based one. And this like home-based one can be like very quiet and probably like just the energy efficiency or energy requirement is at the same on a par with your coffee machine. So it's running there, it's like generating this revenue, and yeah, so it's just about like say this like for instance, like you forgot to turn off your ACs in your room like for one day, probably that's the energy requirement for like 1 month of the machine. Yeah, so that's something like we are going to achieve, and something we have already achieved for the home-based one. Yeah, so we have like two like for the ZK hardware product, we have like two we have two hardware products. The first one we call it ZK Air, which is portable. It's the size of a MacBook charger. Yeah, so you can carry it around with you, and you just plug that into your computer or in your cell phone, and then you can generate the ZK proof on that. Yeah, so it's a very lightweight, energy efficient machine. And of course, we have some like promotions for the pros. Yeah, yeah. So there are like various ways we can address the issue.
I like the handheld one. You can carry that
Yeah,
anywhere.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's that's good. You know.
Yeah.
So if you have these handhelds, right, um, and you enable ZK enabled, right? How can you enable widespread adoption of ZK inexpensively?
Yeah, so that I guess depends on lot of on the like on the software and also on the hardware. So let's start with the software one. So previously, like in ZK, like when people want to run some like ZK program, they need to be experienced, they need to be some experts in writing the ZK circuit, which is a very particular field of programming. It's not like the general programming such as like writing code in Python or code or like Rust or like a C++. It's a very niche field where require a lot of expertise in writing the ZK circuit. And in the past year, I guess like we saw a lot of advancement in the like technology called ZKVM. So it's their knowledge virtual machine, which will convert the normal program written in Go, in C++, in Rust into the ZK circuit. So it lowers the barrier for the programmers to do the ZK stuff. Like you don't need to write ZK circuits, you just need to write your normal program. And the compilers in the ZKVM will compile into the ZK circuits. So you don't need to worry about, you don't need to have that expertise. Yeah. So that's on the software, it lowers the barrier for the programmers to use ZK. Okay, so the second one is about the hardware on the hardware, so like the ZKVM didn't solve the issue of like the snow is like in ZK proof generation or the energy requirements, the resource requirement in the ZK proof generation. It only lower the barrier for the programmers to program in ZK. Yeah, so the second issue is about the hardware. So we need to design or and also manufacturing some of the specialized hardware for ZK to make the ZK proof generation faster, energy efficient, portable, and also probably like costly efficient. Yeah, for people to use. So in that way, the ZK can really enter the main street instead of just staying in the Web3 community. So as you can see, like ZK right now is mainly in the Web3 community. There is like no much mentioning in the traditional enterprise like using ZK. Probably like there are like several such as Google, but I guess the majority or 99% of them are not using ZK because of this like two barriers. And we have made enormous advancement on the software like by the ZKVM, but it only will like require on the hardware to make the ZK complete. Yeah.
The hardware makes sense to me. It makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
The
yeah.
you said you're lowering the barriers for programmers. Now, those barriers, um, are they barriers in like I would think that if you made coding easier, then more people would be in it, and then you get mass adoption, right? You still need to make it easier, right? If we don't make it easier, then how do we get mass adoption of zk? Because I thought it was supposed to be the next billion entrant opportunity. So how do you get them there? How can we lower barriers as far as skill level so that people can enter, or is it something else?
Yeah, so like I guess like the real breaking point here is like on the hardware side. We need to develop some hardware which allow people to generate the ZK proof like in any way, like any place, like anytime they want. And it's not just taking a lot of time. We should be generating the ZK proof instantly. Like by instantly, I mean like from like with the time, like even you cannot notice like less than like 1 second. And so that's the thing like we want to achieve. And that's the thing like we want to achieve for the majority of the computing demand. It's not just by proving like like Ethereum block. So that's something like we're going to achieve like in the coming months, probably like in just 1 or 2 months. So that's not a very difficult task. And the real thing is to make the K to handle the real competition in the real world, such as like the ChatGPT one, like I just mentioned. That's like way much complicated than just one single Ethereum block.
So the real innovation is on the hardware. Yeah, that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah.
Great, excellent. Well, I look forward to seeing what you guys achieve in the coming year, and I appreciate your time and thank you very much. Um, I have one last question, and
Okay.
it's how can people find out more information about you, about SciSig? How can they start to get the equipment in their hands? How can they do that?
Yeah, so like there are like basically like two ways you can find all the information related to SciSig. There like our official website is scisic.xyz, so cysic.xyz. So that's like the thing, like you can check out our website. We have a brand new like I guess like eye-catching new website coming next week. Yeah, so feel free to check it out. And the second thing is like our Twitter account, like it contains all like we have a uh link tree link there, and like you can check the Discord, the Telegram, the official website, and our Medium and also HackMD things there. And our the handle for the for X account is CYSIC-XYZ. Yeah, so that's the two ways like you can check out for all the information about like SciSig, and please check our like X account for the most recent update from our from SciSig.
Sounds great. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks a lot. Thank you for having me.